So uh, what we're what we appear to be talking about, and what this sharing is about, is simply and totally just what's appearing to happen, and that can be described as sitting on a chair, breathing, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings are appearing. That's what is, and what ordinary, simply inexplicable, this. And saying inexplicable doesn't mean that this can be known as inexplicable. In fact, no word at all can capture this, and yet it is as every single word, because it's just ordinary, simply this. And but within this, what is there, there's kind of at these meetings, it becomes rapidly kind of clear, or not, it becomes rapidly obvious that there's sort of two views or two perspectives. In actual fact, one isn't a perspective at all. One is nothing, has nothing, and nothing isn't a thing. It's just nothing is as good a word as absolutely nothing. The other perspective is actually feels like it is a perspective, feels like the other reality, feels like there is actually a thing called reality, that there is called a thing separate called life, and it's me at the center of that life, and a me that tries to negotiate through its life to make it basically a better life. And then however that may be, that can be in a gazillion different ways, and each me has their own backstory. And it seems like, that obviously every story is different, but it seems like spiritual seeking seems to come along, one way or another. It seems to come along, and even the idea that there is something called spiritual seeking, that kind of suggests to the person, it suggests that maybe maybe that can make my life better. Really, that kind of is at the core. Now, there's other elements to that, which is, there's a kind of physiological apparent yearning that might be described, or, it's impossible to know, but there's behind the motivation that the person will describe when it comes to seeking. But it seems like, spiritual seeking will fill the gap where all others didn't fill the gap. And that's a general description of a seeking. And but it seems like that in this, then this is a meeting, that there are then these two kind of apparent, one where there is a reality, there is a thing called non-duality, there is possibility of liberation, there is, even there, and there is such a thing as self and no self, and everything, basically life is objectified as things. Once I am here, then everything else is out there, and there is a world that's real, and then everything then can be objectified. And then in these meetings, then there is a kind of a discussion that can happen, and it's kind of almost that one is a perspective and the other is nothing. And it's basically, in a way, it's kind of, you could say, something trying to squeeze something out of nothing. And that's a kind of a positioning or a summary of it, that really that there is nothing on offer here, and nothing is known, and that this is kind of nothing as sounds, because nothing is being described here. Now, that can't be known or imagined, and that doesn't, you see, when the difficulty with describing like that is that then it can make it seem like, oh, that there's something known here, that, well, he must know nothing then. So then all that will be said to that is, no, nothing is known. Really what we're talking about is simply and plainly ordinary what is. and just this. And really, that all the havings are with that which feels that it can get something. That's the havings. And it's kind of, there isn't you and seeking, really. And in a way, you know, that's the kind of other thing that's maybe exposed, is that if already there is no one, then, you know, what can that no one find? Seeking doesn't want to find. Seeking is seeking, and that's what it is. There isn't you and seeking. And I suppose maybe it can be exposed then, the idea of paths and processes and methods, because who could possibly gain? And when already there's no one. And I suppose that's the kind of essence of this sort of conversation, these sorts of meetings. If you were to describe that, if you were to try and describe or put a story around this, but really, actually, this is nothing happening. And that's an unimaginable nothing happening for the story making machine. But so that's why really all that can be said is, well, there's just what is, there's just what's appearing to happen. And if seeking is what is, then that's what's appearing to happen. And but yeah, it's really just what's being described, and what will be returned to constantly is just sitting on a chair, breathing and sounds, and the unknowability of that, where all those words are just way too much because nothing can be said. All that in mind, what this is kind of the possibility of just questions and sharing and asking. And so if there's something that's there to be asked, then jump in and go for it. And just, if you haven't been at one of these before, just unmute and go for it.
Hi,
Hey,
Frank.
how you doing?
No, I think, okay, that's good enough.
Mm.
So I was wondering that, like everything is storytelling.
Mm.
So may I try to tell a story?
Go for it.
So I was wondering about this story about Buddha. There is, I feel some resonance in that, this frame story, that Buddha, that there was like old age, sickness, and death. And when he saw these three things, that triggered kind of dissatisfaction.
Mm.
So it triggered like seeking, but it may also be said that it was like dissatisfaction. And I have heard that often, like people, when they come in some, like who have been liberated in the way, they have been history of trauma. So what do you think about this story?
It's a great story. what do I think about? I mean, really, it's a story, because you see, in a way, it's lived is cause and effect. In other words, oh, if my suffering is enough, Lord, can it all come to an end, Lord? You know, almost like, here are my wounds. Is that enough? You know, that's but it would seem that there is the constant disappointment, and through seeking, let's just say, and some might say disappointment is the embrace, and I because nothing happens, and because already there is no one, all of those paths, processes, suffering, traumas, all those ideas of what can make A into B just collapse. So already there's no one there asking that question. So that's the mystery, you know, and that's really what we're talking about then, is just then ordinary this. And the story maker loves that there's some possibility of, you know, lining this out in a linear way to make it ta-da. And in a way, isn't it? Don't you see that it's beautiful, really, because it's the arc of a story in there, and just ordinary this, with all that, you know. So it is disappointment, it is frustration, it is joy, it is whatever is appearing to happen. Yeah.
So you think that I was wondering that if the in apparent story, if it would be just easiness, it would be as likely to be realization in the way.
Well, now you see, and that's the amazing thing. You see, nothing happens. There is no realization. In fact, it's the death of all those realizations. But you know, that's the clinging, isn't it? Really, that's the clinging at the heart of it, that there is something, that there is a realization. And there isn't a realization. It's the end of realizations. It's the end of all the images that might be, that can be acquired. It's the death of all that. So then, you know, and who could realize anything if already there's no one? So it's just seeking appearing to happen, and there's just what is appearing to happen. There's just this, and it's always just this. It's always what is, and there isn't you and what is. So there's what is appearing to happen, which is kind of lost in that story, which, you know, there is no cause and effect. There is no linear path. There is no realization. There is, you know, so that you see that there's nothing here and there. It just seems like that's nothing as questions, and this is just nothing. And it's totally unimaginable, because using those words instantly, it's objectified, but it's sort of kind of, you know, all the stories just, you know what I mean? I have to kind of then,
yeah. Yes,
there's
but
no, yeah, go for
yeah,
it.
But I have understood that in your apparent story, there was dissatisfaction before there was not anymore dissatisfaction.
So so, but
yeah.
you see, in a way, do you see, like, what's appearing to happen then is trying to create a headline story to make it fit into a narrative. That's what it seems like to me. So in other words, then, so what's looked upon then is, you know, the podcasts, let's just say, frustration, and it's isolated into that, and then no frustration. So frustration can happen, anger, calm, whatever, everything can happen, but there's always that. So, but you see, like, that's what the story making machine does, and doesn't like the detail, doesn't like, well, you know, there was lying in the sunshine too. And then there was whatever, there was drinking coffee or having beer. No, we won't put those in the story because that doesn't fit the linear tale. Like, I mean, that's what we do. It's not like, you know, that is what stories are. They're the summary to create a linear event. And we're talking about everything. And nothing, and simply just this, you know, really, really, really just this. And within that, obviously, whatever story arises, but it can be seen that the story maker loves to make it into a headline, into the linear A plus B equals. And, you know, really, it can also then be seen as, all right, yeah, okay. That's what the story maker does, just wants the headlines. Give me the bullet points. Give me the bullet points. So apparent frustration leads to apparent not frustration. Frustration is it. Frustration is it. Everything is this. Nothing apart already.
Yes, nothing more in this point.
Okay. In a way, see what's this is general, but what seems to be the movement in seeking is a comparison. In a way, you know, that my story can compare to another story, and that there's similarities, and that then that could happen for me in a kind of a way. And you know, in other words, if my frustration must mean something, or my suffering must mean something, it must mean something. And so whatever is appearing to happen is incomparable. It's incomparable. And it may seem like in the top line that there is comparisons to be made, but really life it's incomparable, and it's always new, and every single appearing to happen is totally new, totally untouchable. And obviously the matchmaking machine will go, well, this is like this and this is like this, but it is anew and incomparable. And you know, there is already no Mika in there. That is nothing talking. And it then won't then recognize anything. It won't recognize its own absence. You know, it won't recognize its own absence because already there's no one in there. And that's we're really, really talking about this mystery, just this mystery, just, which then what's within that is any possible reaction. Yeah, but that's the mystery. You know, yeah, but whatever is still is this. So nothing is, there's nothing that isn't allowed. It's not that anybody would allow it or not allow it. There's just simply what is. And it is, yeah, just what it appears to be.
Yeah, I have heard like different stories about the shift. That somebody has said that it was really easy, and somebody has said that there was some complications in the body, in the way before and after the apparent contradiction in what is the contract energy was somehow that there was not anymore this contraction in the body. But that there are also stories, but what do you think about this kind of stories?
Well, I mean, it's nothing happens, so there's always a story though. Even saying nothing happens can't but be felt as or imagined as a tiny a story. The carrot finding machine, you know, will go, all right, well, it is then a thing called nothing that happens. What's that like? You know, that's just the way it seems to go, seeking. And so, I mean, I suppose the response to that is like, in all the stories, whatever the stories there is, they're always new. So they're always fundamental. They're always might have similar traits, but they're always brand new. So whatever way, you know, eating a steak can be described there differently. Some people might eat a steak and just go, and other people might go whatever, but nothing happening is just nothing happening. And there's then the peak experiences, the trauma, the imagined whatever, all of those, they're just seen to be experiences, you know, and you know, and somehow we definitely seem to put more weight on the big peak experience. So suddenly I was walking in the park, which is the famous one, and then there was just the park and walking or whatever, and that's then imagined and put up there. Well, that's a brilliant one. But it can't be just sitting on a chair. That's not, it's not the miracle. It needs to be more, because there's too many stories like just sitting on a chair. But actually sitting on a chair is the miracle, and ordinary, uncatchable, every thought uncatchable, every sensation uncatchable, every breath, every word, every sound, every hearing. This is totally uncatchable, including just the sound of this is totally uncatchable, you know. So
it feels good to listen to this. So what is that?
well, it's exactly what's being described. It's not anything. It's exactly what's being described. Then it feels good to listening to this. Woohoo! It feels shit. Woohoo! It feels horrible. This is the worst thing ever. This is the worst meeting ever. Woohoo! It's just what is then. It's just what is. But it's not a just what is, because it's kind of going, well, that's just what is. It's also a fucking miracle. It's also, but a miracle, I seem to use that word, and it isn't a great word because it makes it seem like, you know, the wine, Jesus and the wine, because that's what the fine meaning making machine will find that. But it really is just ordinary, simply breathing, hearing, and that it's utterly, totally uncatchable, you know. And amazingly, the attempt to catch it or go, imagine go, God, I think I got, that was, I felt a bit of joy there. That was, am I close? Am I close? That's it though. That's this. You can't catch it. You can't hold it. You can't hold that there. You can't hold the laughter. You can't hold an inch of this. And maybe that's the, I don't know, that's, it's just this.
Like spontaneity, or
Well, it's not like anything, it's as everything. It's so, imagine feeling not spontaneous is the spontaneity. Do you know, that's the kind of, the imagination is that, oh, it's flow. There's no, it's just totally no frustration, no awkwardness, no, it's, so then that's an imagined state, which is, you know, that comes back to the bell ringing and the cross-legged sitting, and that's fine until, you know, hunger or it kind of kills this in almost, because it's an imagination of what it is in a way, and it's the hoping that this will just calm from, I can be calm and wise and all knowing. And it's, you know, it's the killer is that there's no one in there to have anything. So it's constantly falling through the hands, you know, it's constantly disappearing in every movement, in every hand out, breathing. It's this.
yeah, like childlikeness may happen in the way.
Not an image of childlikeness. That is childlikeness already there. That's total innocence. And in a way, that's the, you know, that's the thing. Like, it's kind of like, well, why the fuck would anybody ever talk about this? Why is there a meeting about this when that gives the impression that something is known? And so that's why this is kind of repeatedly saying, well, there's nothing on offer here. There's nothing on offer here because nothing is known here. You know, that's why it's repeatedly that, because really there's no point to this meeting. There's nothing on offer. It's kind of, it's just exactly what it appears to be, nothing on offer. And in a way you could say that it is total childlike cluelessness, but it's not a thing that can be known as that. It's already as that. And it's just that somehow all of these concepts, all of these ideas of what this is are taken into the glue machine. And even then when it's greeted, well, there's nothing on offer, there is already no one in there. There's nothing that can do with that, because it's used to bringing in everything. But even saying, you know, referring to that makes it seem like it's real. It's not. There's nothing that's real. There's just simply what is. So already, imagine no one in there thinking, no one in there going, but, no one in there wondering, no one in there feeling whatever, just feelings, thoughts, breathing, sitting, this, hearing. Always just this. And whatever, so then whatever that is then. So there's nothing here, there's nothing known here. Nothing. Gazilch. Gazilch. Interesting.
Oh, hi, Frank.
Yeah.
Um, I was watching one of your older videos, pre-falling away.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go on, yeah.
Yeah. And I forget which one, but I think you were chatting with Kenneth
Okay.
about non-duality.
Okay.
And you were kind of comparing your state with whatever you imagine, where Kenneth was at the time. And you were talking about how you were grumpy, like pretty often, compared to Kenneth, who seemed to be more relaxed and open in a way. And it kind of sounded like you were kind of you didn't like the fact that you were often grumpy or agitated. And so what I want to ask is, does that agitation and grumpiness still happen in the apparent Frank's body, or is it like it doesn't happen at all that grumpiness and agitation is just gone? Or
so it's is that the sorry, you weren't finished?
Yeah.
You were...
So my impression is that it's seeing those grumpiness and frustration and agitations seem to be not happening anymore for you, because even on the surface level, you seem really the Frank character seem more relaxed, like your facial expressions and everything. Seen from here, it's there's a difference between the Frank post falling away compared to the seeking days. So yeah, I was just wondering what the difference is. Is it that you just don't care anymore if when anger or grumpiness happens, or is it that it doesn't happen at all?
Yeah. So the killer in this is that there's already no one, right? So and there's never there was never anyone. So there's already no one in there asking that question. So if there was someone, then they would definitely be able to push away the grumpiness, and they would definitely be able to they'd be able to push it away over there, and they'd be able to kind of have a human six-pack of perfectness, because that's always the imagination. So in other words, then when waking up in the morning happens and the coffee has not been drank, there'd be the imagination of, well, that'd be okay. Well, in actual fact, don't talk to me until I've had a coffee, baby. And the same will be had. So we're talking about totally ordinary what is. So then awkwardness can appear, frustration can appear, quick snap, anger can appear, and then a quick going, oh, shouldn't have done that, or whatever. There's no one in there operating the system already. So then nothing happened, and there is no shift, not a thing called nothing, nothing happening. Nothing, just this.
What's this?
This
Whatever's happening.
exactly. It's the
Oh,
hearing of what's this. There isn't a this or a what's. There isn't anything.
right.
This is sort of like too many words almost. Like, so this is total cluelessness. Nothing here. This is the sound of nothing. And that's the sound of nothing. So this is nothing making an awful lot of noise, talking about
Yeah,
nothing.
okay. Right. So it's not like these sounds are coming from or like out of nothing. It is nothing. You mean it literally is nothing. The sounds and the
yeah, unimaginable, ungraspable, and the wonder, let's just say, is that you can't ever be caught or held or got or had, because it is the description appearing or the hearing of exactly this. Like, so it's already too late. It's an aberration almost to kind of talk about this, but then obviously it can't be an aberration because that's this. It's also this.
yes, this talking is also that.
Yeah. Totally inescapable, and yet includes obviously any attempt to try and escape it. And also, I kind of might add that I think a part the comparison making machine almost is a kind of a survival mechanism. That's, you know, it kind of like goes, oh well, that's over there is more relaxed now. Apparently, you know, and then it's a kind of projection upon, and I'm not quite like that, so it must be different or whatever. But that obviously that's just a kind of a happening, and means nothing, but it is sort of a thing that appears to happen, and that means then I can be here comparing when there's nothing to compare anything to. This is totally incomparable.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. There's the new coffee shop that I go to that's called Grumps. It's a good name.
All right, so Frank, there's a huge amount of frustration right now. Frustration, and I guess it's a little bit of anger mixed with it. And well, let's say that the me doesn't exist, but still there's a noticing of this anger and this, energy. And to me, it still kind of feels like there's some kind of intelligence or something that notices this, and the mind wants to believe that I am doing that, noticing. Or I mean, if I wasn't really here, why would these sensations and feelings be noticed? I mean,
so there's just the noticing of those sensations.
Yes, but
that's what's been described then. What is anger, frustration being described. And if that's felt to be what is, if that's the description then for what's happening, then and that's felt to be absolutely real and solid, and
it feels very real.
Then that's what is then.
But that's what is for me. It feels like, because nobody else here is feeling this, this particular emotion. I mean, if this emotion is, or this, oh wait, right. Oh, well, so you're saying that the description of this, what's going on here, is what is, right? Not that the emotion itself is what is, but the description of this emotion is what is. And I don't even know what I'm saying.
So there's simply then I don't know what I'm saying is appearing to happen. And what's been suggested here is that you can't do that. You can't do a thing. You can't touch your own attempt to get this. You can't get close or further away from what is. There's just what is, including, but hold on a second, or whatever reaction, or whatever reaction is this, whatever this is just what it appears to be, completely. So there's the imagination that it's somewhere other, that there's a place to arrive to. No, it's this.
Okay.
So including everything.
Not just what's going on here, but you know, everything. It's just the computer screen, all the people here in the meeting, the confusion that's happening here. Everything is just what is.
Everything is this. Yeah. So you couldn't like, you could study 1,000 textbooks, but you wouldn't be able to figure out how to do frustration, but frustration can appear to happen. You could read 1,000 gazillion encyclopedias about sighing, but you wouldn't know how to do that. But sighing can happen, and total exhaustion can happen, or whatever is. The suggestion is that there's no one doing that, and that is not a thing that can be known. There's already no one in there. There's already no one in there. So who would know that there's no one? There's just what's appearing to happen, including frustration, not frustration, simply ordinary, totally just this. And even this then doesn't capture the immediacy, the inexplicableness.
Okay. Well, it's pretty obvious that no one is doing the breathing and sighing and talking, but what about the skills, like you learn? I mean, I've never really, I don't remember myself learning how to speak or, sit on a chair or to breathe, but there are skills that I believe that I learned, like speaking English, for instance. And if I never learned how to speak English, I wouldn't be here. I mean, speaking can happen, but it would have been my native language. And yeah, but even my native language, I didn't speak it when I was born. So would you say that learning just happens? Learning new skills, or it's just what is? I am not learning anything, but learning just
appears to happen.
Okay.
But amazingly, what is nothing to do with language, or, I mean, what's being expressed here, it seems like it seems like there's something being expressed here. That's what it seems like, when there's a meeting arranged and, it's about non-duality, then there must be a thing called non-duality. There must be a thing called liberation. There must be, there must be things. And this is the absence. This is absence. And it's nothing is being described. And, that's nothing as frustration, or nothing as questions, nothing as trying to figure this out, to at least, one thing that it can kind of, get out of this. Well, it must be this then, or what about this? And that's just, you can't get close to doing that. That's just what is appearing to happen. And then that's this, the response is kind of, this is total cluelessness here. So there's no answer to, you'll come up and go, well, there's a speck of dirt on the ground there, Frank. And I go, all right, okay, that's what it's called. But this is beyond all words. You know, you'll go, well, I'm here, Frank, I'm frustrated, and then this will go, all right, okay. That's what's being described then. You know, but there's no knowing of what anything is, and this is it's just so nothing to do with knowing, but knowing appears that, well, you know, this is a cup, and that's the computer, and that's the glass there with the water, and that's you'll say, well, this is Frank. That's what then that's seen as a Frank character. The podcast, you know, whatever is being described then of this, but this really and that really, this is nothing talking, nothing asking a question, and it's not a thing, or that's unimaginable. It's this, the mystery is this, and whatever questions then seem to, that's also a mystery. Questions are a mystery.
So I don't really know what I'm saying. I think I know what I'm saying, but if I'm not doing anything, I don't really know what I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's emptiness as that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just shut up and listen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank Thank you. It's double Tuesday, so there's another meeting this evening. So it's at 9 o'clock Irish time. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful.
See you later.
The double stuff.
See you later or not. Bye.
Ciao.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.